This is the Frugal Gardener, and I'm back in the garden. To be more specific, I am standing between my raised crate garden and my rustic garden. There is a lot going on. Most of it is good. I'm really happy. But today, as promised, I'm not going to show you the good things that are going on. Maybe a little bit, like my peas are starting to come up. But way back in the beginning, first day of spring, I said I would show you everything. So here goes. Most YouTube gardening channels, most gardeners show you the really good stuff, and that's it. I show you the mistakes so that you will avoid them. I show you the mistakes so that you will have a more realistic view of gardening. Mistake number one. Yes, that's water in there. These are looking great. These are fine. Those are, you can see the buds, the little flowers coming up. Somewhere, well, there's a bunch of them. And the reality is that, as I said, most of the garden is doing great. But I'll do a tour on that, I don't know, in a week or two. I'm going to title this one, When It Rains. Because when you get a lot of rain, as we have had over the last few days, everything grows faster, and you also get to see your mistakes. These are strawberries that I just covered. There's more in here that I'm going to have to cover after a while, but I just covered these today because they were overlooked. And yes, the birds and the squirrels started getting to them. But here's a big miss right here from me. This is the first year that I decided to grow all this at once. The spearmint, the sage, the lavender, the rosemary, lemongrass, everything that you saw me plant here. But because I tried to take a shortcut, I did not do anything with the soil. So instead of growing herbs, I grew weeds. Why do I not seem upset? Well, because this is not the main thing in my garden this year, because it's still May, and because it's an easy fix. And basically just pull all these weeds out, put in soil that is more suited for each of these, and I'm good to go. But again, I wanted you to see these. Same with these red onions. I'm not getting any onions, so I'm going to probably have to replant. Here's the problem when you're dealing with this time of year. When you're dealing with this time of year, you primarily are dealing with temperature swings. So it can be in the 70s for a couple of days, and then in the 90s for a couple of days. Then at night it can go down into the 50s, but there's no excuse for this. I overlooked this pot, the fact that it didn't have drainage. So these are Yukon gold potatoes, you see the label, and these are going to just rot. So I'm going to have to hurry up and do something to save those. This is the other area that I'm having a problem with. This one I'm disappointed in, because this was supposed to have been broccoli, and this was supposed to have been purple cabbage. You can see where some of the purple cabbage was starting to come up. But you try to roll the dice at times. Both of these items, both of these vegetables were supposed to be for cool weather. Because of the fact that we've had temperatures in the 90s, that didn't work out. So you see what happened. I got a little action going here, but nowhere near what I expected. I am happy with the cucumbers that I planted along the right-hand side here. Those are doing great. But like I said, today we're focusing on, I guess you could say, the mistakes or the things that didn't work out well. Again, it's still May, so there's time to make these corrections. These are ghost peppers that did not come up. Well, not yet. Those still may come up. At any rate, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to leave what's here, but I'm going to plant something called Malabar spinach. This will be my third year growing Malabar spinach, but in the past, I've grown it over in the potato area in the rustic garden. It's the one spinach that I know that can take the heat. So that should do well here. This is going to stay pretty much according to plan here, which means I'm going to have the carrots down here. I'm going to have the cucumbers here, and I'm going to wait and see what I get in this area here. So let me see. These carrots will have to be replanted also. But other than that, everything else is doing well. I'm not going to ask you to take my word for it. In the next, maybe not the next video, but in the next week or so, this is an example. This is my nephew's alpine strawberries, and they have gotten to be a decent size. I'm actually starting to get some flowering on there. That's a kind of a preview of the good stuff, which there is a lot of. But like I said, what's the fun in just showing you that? It's no, I won't say no benefit, but it is beneficial to see the mistakes that I have made, or not necessarily always mistakes, but when you start early and you do deal with these swings. I'm in 6B, and it has gone from the 50s sometimes at night and the 90s sometimes during the day, and sometimes you lose stuff, and sometimes it's just simple mistakes like not having enough drainage. So this may not have been my most glamorous, my most fun video, but hopefully it's been educational. That's it for this video. I usually like to show you guys something at the end that I haven't shown you before. And so before I sign off, this is it. These are my dwarf trees. Over here, these are my dwarf oranges. These are my dwarf Meyer lemons. This is my dwarf cherry tree. This is not a dwarf tree. This is my olive tree, which stayed in the garage in the winter, and the leaves die back. So I've learned my lesson. This is going to go probably in the kitchen corner this winter, so that I can actually do something with this. So one last thing here. I don't know a whole lot about growing trees. This is something that I've just kind of backed into over the last couple of years. And I did not know that if you are growing cherries, you have to have at least one companion tree, unless the cherries, the variety is sour, which these are not. So for pollination purposes, I need another tree. This tree is, I think, 3 years old, and it's getting bigger, but I'm not getting any cherries, and from what I've been researching, I'm not going to get any cherries. So I'm going to probably pick up 2 more of these. But the advantage of these are obvious. If you live in a cold climate like I do, and you want fruit, you have a pretty big variety now. These weren't popular a couple of years ago. And like I said, you can keep, and now I know for a fact that the Meyer lemon tree, the dwarf Meyer lemon tree, this variety is good to below freezing. I wouldn't test it, but I mean, I kind of did, but it was not intentional, and it came back. And you can see this one is doing well. I had 2 orange trees, and also had 2 banana. I do not recommend trying to grow dwarf banana trees if you live in a cold climate. I did it for 2 years in a row, 2 winters in a row, and each time they died. But again, that's because I'm in 6B. But yeah, you might have better luck than I did. So that's it. In case you're wondering, this is cantaloupe. And again, this is another job that I'm going to do today. This has to be moved if they're too close together. And I'll put that in another pot. But that's it for now. You guys enjoy the rest of your day. This is the Frugal Gardener. Remember, when you grow your own food, you'll always know where it comes from.